Hello and welcome to today's D-Tools i3 Partner Series kickoff webinar for 2025. My name is Jason Knott, Data Solutions Architect at D-Tools, and I am excited to be here. Thank you to all the i3 partners who are joining me live today, as well as those of you who are going to listen to this recording, because we are recording it and we're going to send it out to the i3 partner group. So I hope 2025 is going well for everybody so far. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these i3 partner webinars. We skipped December for the holidays, and we determined instead of doing these monthly, I'm going to do them quarterly unless there's some important information that I really want to get out to the group. Then we will increase the frequency. But look for these once a quarter for this year, unless, like I said, there's some other important information that comes up. So this is our quote-unquote kickoff webinar to go over the latest info from D-Tools, some data that was from the 2024 data that just shows you what was run through the D-Tools Cloud program, as well as talk to you about what's coming up for the i3 Partner Program. So kind of sticking with the football theme, hopefully you're seeing the football screen here. This is what you get when you ask for an AI-generated shot. It's kind of cool. So congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles fans out there. My condolences to any Kansas City Chiefs fans, but you know, you can't win it every year. But unlike the Chiefs, you can and will win by being part of the i3 Partner Program every year. So today I'm going to go through some information for you. As you can see, the bullet points, the 2024 data review of what the performance was like from actual proposals and actual signed contracts. This isn't coming from survey information. Also, what's on tap from D-Tools in terms of some new exciting reports we're going to be offering for 2025, and then also some upgrades that are happening in the i3 Partner Program. So with me also is Barry McCorkle, who is, let's see if I'm getting people to admit here. Okay. Barry McCorkle, our Business Development Manager at D-Tools, who is as I'm sure all of you know, your i3 partner contact. And he's making a cameo, as you can see here, as our lineman, blocking and tackling lineman in the image. So thanks for setting aside the time today. This is going to be 30 minutes. Again, I want to be respectful of your time. So let's go right ahead. Just the quick housekeeping slide. Hopefully you're all hearing me. It sounds like you all are. If you can't hear me or you're having trouble with the audio, generally there's usually an audio. If there is a problem, it's going to be audio. We're using the Teams platform. Log off, log back in, and that might solve the problem. You'll see the little blue arrow I've got here on the screen. There's a Q&A section in the webinar interface. So please type your questions as you think of them. At the end, I'm going to take a look at those, and if we still have time, I'm going to try and answer the questions. But no, you can always reach out to myself or to Barry individually with any questions that you might have. So, and again, I mentioned this is being recorded. Will be sent out. Okay, real quick, again, big thank you to everybody who participates in the i3 Partner Program. We now have 300 companies partners in the program, representing over 1,300 brands with their products that are in the D-Tools integrated product library with the integrator level pricing. Hopefully you're all using your dashboard data so you can authorize your new dealers. You can see in advance when you're getting orders, so you can do your inventory, anticipate inventory needs more properly. You can see when and who the dealers are of yours that are booking your business. You can see regional trends, your top selling products, your close rates, and a lot of other key metrics that are in your dashboards. So hopefully you're utilizing those on a frequent basis to kind of stay ahead of the curve. We have, we did launch the new Insights Plus dashboard last year. It's been almost a year now, actually, since we've had the new second tier level to the dashboard. That's going to get you, sales by product category, market share, sales cycle times, and a lot of other metrics. So if you haven't checked out Insights Plus or upgraded to Insights Plus, again, check that out or ask Barry and he can help you out. Some other highlights, we've got now the software is in 5 countries, the US, Canada, UK, New Zealand, and Australia. We offer real-time API integration with your product pricing, and that's always up to date. And if you want to do that, again, reach out to Barry. And there are a lot of other opportunities to get involved and engage with our readership, our user base via newsletters and sponsored emails. So thank you again. All right, so let's take a sneak peek. Here's the first section of the data that's going to be coming out in the 2024 year in review report that's going to be out shortly as a free download on the website. So my goal in providing you as the manufacturers and the suppliers this information is so you can perhaps gauge your own sales trends against what we are seeing in the market. So unlike some other survey information that you might see in the market, this is not from surveys. This is from actual proposals and actual signed contracts in DTools Cloud. None of the data comes from DTools System Integrator, which is our on-premise software, but we can confidently say that the data that you see here that comes from DTools Cloud is about 8x to 10x if you want to gauge our full reach into the market in terms of how deep DTools is going into the market. So, and then just to remind you, cloud is not just used by small integrators. We have, certainly a lot of small integrators that are using cloud, but we have integrators that are doing as much as $70 million worth of proposals through cloud. So in 2024, you can see the data here, there was 176,000 proposals that were run through DTools Cloud, 67,095 signed contracts. The value of those contracts, $6.5 billion worth of proposals and $1.2 billion in signed contracts that were run through cloud. Okay, so what was the averages out there? Here's kind of the main headline from the survey, I keep saying survey, it's not from the survey, it's from real data. The sales income from installation activities was up an average of 6.5% in 2024 compared to 2023. So the average integrator did $1.6 million in installation sales in 2024 versus $1.5 million in 2023. This includes, by the way, both residential and commercial installations. This does not include revenues from service contracts, except for the service contracts that were included as part of that initial installation contract. So usually a lot of integrators will have that embedded in the first year of the contract. So this is not including anything that goes beyond that first year in terms of service revenues. So is that 6.5% better or worse than the rest of the industry? We don't really know. We like to think that the integrators that are using DTools are faring better and doing better than the rest of the market. All right, let's look at closing rates. So the average integrator created 171 proposals last year and signed 91 contracts. That's a 53% closing rate. So you can see integrators had to work pretty darn hard to do, in terms of generating a lot of proposals out there to get their signed contracts. How does that compare to last year? It's a 10% increase in terms of the number of proposals, but the contracts were relatively flat. And I say relatively because 2023 was between 90 and 91, and it rounded up to 91. And 2024 was between 91 and 92, but it rounded down to 91. So, you can't have a half a contract. So it really rounded out. They both rounded out at 91, but it really was about almost a one contract increase. But that's just I'm getting into the minutia there, but I did want to explain that. So what does this show us? Obviously, that demand remains high. Integrators are still getting a lot of demand for a lot of proposals. And then also that they're able to crank out proposals more easily. We, again, like to think that that's coming from their use of DTools and DTools Cloud. So I want to put just a quick notation, and I say this in every webinar, just a reminder. So the way that we count proposals and count contracts, the proposal in DTools Cloud does not include the proposal plus revisions of the proposal. If there any of those revisions, it's still counted as one proposal. The only exception would be if an integrator, for some reason, started the opportunity all over again with the customer. which I'm sure happens on a very rare circumstance. There's really no reason for them to do that, but it could happen. But the proposals are really kind of a one-to-one. The revisions are not adding to the number of proposals there. Now, in the contracts, the one thing to be aware of, DTools Cloud counts signed contracts. That doesn't necessarily equate to the whole project size. So what we found, for example, new construction, there would be a contract for the home builder, then there's a separate contract for the customer. That's the same project, but it's two different contracts. Also, something that we've noticed, there are integrators who are doing multiple contracts per project, and they're purposely kind of dividing it up with a contract by room location. For example, we've got one contract for the dedicated home theater, another one for the outdoor technology. Also, we'll see some integrators divide up the contracts by system. In particular, that seems to be most frequently of the security contract, installation contract is separate from the rest. So they break it out. So again, the reason I bring that up is just to let you know that 91 contracts does not necessarily mean that they did 91 projects. So, okay, so if the market was up 6.5% and the contracts were relatively flat, where did the increase come from? So what we found is the increase came from the size of the project, the value of the project. So the average contract was up 6.1%. Again, when you count that 1% or that one contract increase I was telling you between the rounding up of 91 and rounding down of 91, that's where it comes out to 6.5 in total, just so you know. That the difference here between the 6.1 and the 6.5. So where is that coming from? Certainly, inflation has got to be part of that. That integrators had to increase their contract sizes due to labor and equipment, and they had to pass that on to customers. Also, integrators broadening into new categories of equipment like lighting fixtures and energy, that would be adding to the size of the contract. Does this mean that there was more profit? We hope so, but we really don't have that information here. I will tell you in the download report, I get into the profit margins based upon project sizes. So there is quite a difference in the profit margins based on the size of the project. So that's going to be in the download report that'll be up on the website in about a couple of weeks. One other thing I want to point out here, it was very interesting. The second half of 2024 was not as strong as the first half of 2024, which is exactly the opposite of what happened in 2023. 2023, we saw a real weak first half of the year, particularly first quarter. If you remember, that's when inflation was super, super high. And then we saw a stronger second half in 2023. The flip happened here. The project sizes were actually larger in the first half of 2024 than they were in the second half of the year. So it's just a little bit of tidbit information, more detail. Again, that detail will be in the report. So, okay, now let's talk about we call it value engineering. What's happening in terms of the difference between the proposal and that $17,535 average project size. So what we found is the average contract, or the average proposal, was was $37,057, and the average contract was, again, $17,535. That equates to 47% of the actual proposal ending up in the signed contract. That's down about 2% from last year. Why? We can, again, only speculate. We don't have the whys here for all of these, but it could be there was a lot of caution leading into the election cycle, which also could have attributed to why we saw smaller project sizes in the second half of the year. It also could be some sort of leading signal indicator about the economy and customers just being hesitant. One thing I do want to point out in terms of this proposal size, it is very common for a lot of integrators, and they tell me this anecdotally, that they purposely will stretch the customer's proposed budget in order to show them, quote unquote, what's possible. So they say that this tactic works well in terms of getting them to higher contract levels. So just as an example, customer says, I got a $100,000 budget. If the dealer presents a $100,000 proposal, by this percentage, he'd end up with a $47,000 contract. Well, if that same integrator goes in and asks the customer and says, do you mind if I show you what's possible with, let's say, some higher end equipment, and offers a $125,000 proposal, then he's going to end up with a $60,000 contract. That obviously skews this delta between proposal and contract, but it's a tactic that a lot of integrators tell us they are using successfully. So don't be misled by that necessarily. All right, this is just a real quick slide. I try to kind of run through month by month what was happening out there in terms of average contract sizes. I thought this was interesting that July and August had much lower. The delta is not really that strong. The difference between the largest contract month and the smallest is about $8,000, so not necessarily huge. But July and August were smaller projects, which is interesting. So I thought I'd go back and look to see, okay, did July and August were dealers doing more projects, more contracts at a lower price points in those 2 months? And that was not the case. It was pretty flat in terms of, relatively flat in terms of the contracts per month. So July and August was definitely just a leaner months in terms of revenue coming in. All right, I'm almost done here. One of the other interesting things that we're able to glean from this is the ratio or the breakdown between what percentage of the contract and the proposal has got is attributed to product, and what is to labor. So again, looking at proposals, you see 77% product, 23% labor. Contracts slightly higher for labor to 24% and 76% in essence for product. Both of these are up gradually since we tracked it last year, we tracked it the year before. So each of the last 3 years, we have seen a definite increase in the percentage of labor that is going both in proposals and in contracts. We think that this is good news. That means that integrators are not devaluing their labor. And obviously, if you look at the difference here, you can see that when they're in the negotiation process, that they're giving the break or the discount to the customer in the product side versus in the labor side, because we see a higher percentage in labor. So these numbers are still way below what you see in other industries in terms of the percentage of revenue or revenue of income from a project coming from labor, if you compare it to like the electrical industry or even the security industry. But it is, as I said, improving, 1% to 2% each of the last 3 years. So it's good news. All right, last slide here on the 2024 review, sneak peek, and this is the most commonly installed product categories. This is not volume, because if that were the case, then keypads would be on the top, because there's you'd be a ton of those in every project. No, this is the frequency of a product category appearing in a contract. Displays is number one, just as it was number one last year. The interesting part here, and kind of the only change that we saw really, was surveillance cameras went from being number 4 to number 2. So from 2023 to 24, so it went up 2 spots. The other order remains the same: wire and cable, networking, installing speakers, and mounts. So again, it just kind of shows you this crossover that's happening in terms of the security space. Integrators are definitely including security and surveillance more in their proposals or their contracts. So we're in the midst of kind of digging into even more of this. Just to give you a sense, you see there on the right-hand side, we track 10 core categories, 54 quote-unquote categories, and then 828 subcategories of equipment in D-Tools. So we have a lot of detail that we can offer to you. All right, moving on here. That's the end of the 2024 review. I want to talk about what's coming up in 2025. We are embarking on a exciting new element where I'm going to be doing some real in-depth reports on product categories. So we are obviously going to be doing the full year in review report that I mentioned, and then we're going to be doing a mid-year report. But beyond that, I'm going to be doing syndicated product category reports. And for those of you as suppliers that sponsor these, then there's going to be a corresponding dashboard on that product category that goes with it that you'll be able to subscribe to. So, and then also I'm going to be doing the regular webinars, as I mentioned, going to be doing those quarterly. So what am I talking about? This is what we've got on tap for our calendar for product reports. You can see starting out Q1 with a report on soundbars, both passive and active. And honestly, we're choosing that category because it was one of the easier ones that I would be able to get my feet wet on in terms of doing an in-depth report on. Then the other ones you see we've got planned: in-ceiling speakers, outdoor displays, control, lighting fixtures. But you'll notice at the bottom there, I've got that little asterisk, subject to change. And the reason I bring that up is because if you as a supplier are interested, one, in either being a sponsor and getting that dashboard that I mentioned, as well as the report that goes with the product category. But if there's a category on here that's not on here, and you really want us to investigate it for you, let Barry know. Again, everything's on the table. If we were able to do it, we would certainly love to. So what are going to be in those reports? This is give you a glimpse. This is what's going to be it's way beyond this. This is really all I could fit on the slide for soundbars, both active and passive. In depth, all this data will be in there, and then there'll be comparative to the market sizes between active and passive, and we'll be able to see kind of the trends that are taking place between those two categories with subcategories within soundbars. But just to give you an example, market growth, market share, price ranges. You'll see the slew of features that I got listed here that we're going to be investigating in terms of what the prominence are, the prevalence are of these features in the equipment. In addition to the information that we're getting from the D-Tools Cloud, we are also going to be combining this with survey information to our D-Tools System Integrator audience. So there's some really strong verbatim commentary that I've already seen for this category that we're going to be talking to, getting the feedback from those SI integrators about what are the missing features that they'd like to see. What is their outlook for the category? So there's going to be some real good actionable information in there for manufacturers to move ahead on. Okay, so again, you notice that I had that subject to change asterisk in the calendar. And if you're interested in sponsoring either any of the categories that I had on that calendar or a category that wasn't on that calendar, please reach out to Barry McCorkle. We are open to talking to you about it, and we may not be able to do it because it might be a category that might be really niche, but it certainly would be something we'd want to develop for you if that's what you're looking for. So please let us know. Okay, the last area that I want to deal with today in the webinar is to talk about the dashboard upgrades. A reminder that there's two tiers to the i3 program. There's the base level program that gets you everything you can see there in that left-hand column. Your products in the feature integrated D-Tools integrated product library, control approval of your authorized dealers, setting unique pricing dealer by tier, an API integration for pricing, your emailed monthly reports, total dollars, units quoted, sold, and ordered, both as dollars and units, and then visibility to the downloads by the SI dealers. And then the second tier is the Insights Plus that we launched about a year ago that gets you all of the benefits that I mentioned on the left-hand column, plus the ability to do multi-filtering capabilities by your brands, by category, by state. You can do API integration for ordering, not just for pricing, but for ordering. If you sell through distribution, you can see your distribution breakouts, again, by dollars, units, quoted, sold, and ordered. You can see the sales cycle. So you can see, in terms of being able to do accurate inventory management, you'll be able to know well ahead when your products are being put in a proposal, as well as knowing that timing between when they book the business and when they're actually placing the order with you. So real accurate information there to manage your inventory. And again, market share information, which we're going to talk about a little bit here in the next couple of slides, as well as finally product level dollars and units quoted, sold, and ordered. So those are the sorts of things you get to see at the Insights Plus level. So a couple of quick things. We did launch many new features in the fall around CEDIA Expo time, and hopefully you've got a chance to check those out. But among the new features, these dashboards are dynamic. They're constantly being added to. We're constantly adding new metrics, constantly improving the look of them. A couple of new features. One is market share. You can see I kind of have here with the red arrow and the red box showing you'll be able to see your company's products by brand, even all the way down to by brand. You'll be able to see what percentage of all of the proposals and all of the contracts in D-Tools Cloud have your products in it. But then you'll be able to filter it by category, so be able to see what your market share is within the category. There's another chart or another page in the dashboard that kind of looks like this. This is just phony information because I couldn't show anybody's real information here. But these are going to be bubbles that show you the market share of your product in particular categories. This is already live for Insights Plus members. So again, just another way to kind of look at your market share by category. One other thing that we just added, and this was by request, was integrators wanted to know what their breakout was by state. So you can see there's this bar chart to the right. You'll be able to see within your Insights Plus dashboard your breakout of integrators both in cloud and in SI by state. So again, just more information for you. So that concludes the 2025 i3 Partner Kickoff webinar. I hope I spiked the ball in the end zone for a touchdown for you. Reminder to follow up with Barry McCorkle to sign up for Insights Plus or any inquiries that you might have regarding reports. And reminder that Insights Plus now is available. You can subscribe on a month-by-month basis. So again, Barry can fill you in on that. And thank you again. Thank all of you for being part of the D-Tools i3 Partner Program. Have a great day.